What's up YouTube? I am Specialist Sorensen. Welcome back to my channel. I'm in the California Army National Guard and I look real primal right now. I'm getting deployed in 2 months to Poland for 11 months because the National Guard likes to do long deployments for some reason. So if you're in the National Guard, there's a chance that you are going to be deployed. So don't think that you're not going to get deployed. But I'm excited for this one. Should be great, but for the time being, I'm going to be a weekend warrior and get scruffy because I can. Anyways, this is going to be a prior service part 2 impromptu video because I had a subscriber ask me a very good question and leave a comment about some of the things I kind of missed out on my first video. And so I'm making an impromptu video about what to expect as prior service part 2. Okay, so she says, can you make an in-depth video about what other soldiers think of you? Pretty much the gist of it is, was it harder than the first time I went in? So I'm going to touch on that. Was it harder than the first time I went in? No, because you have two things going for you when you're prior service. One, you kind of know what to expect with the drill sergeants. It's not going to be a huge shock to you, right? Since she's been out for more than 5 years, she had a 6-year break. She's going to have to do basic training again. That's just the regulations now. If you have a break in service more than 5 years, you have to do basic training again. For some of you prior service who don't think you have to do basic training again, if you've been out for more than 5 years, you're gonna have to do it again unless you can get a waiver somehow, because that's a possibility. Don't know how, but you have to do it again. But your advantage is that you know what's coming. But compared to when I went in the first time, I thought this time was much easier. The first time I went in, we did way more PT, and I went infantry both times. The first time I went to Fort Benning, Georgia in 2008. This time I just went in this year, 2021, and we did way more physical activity. The school was shorter, so infantry training used to be 14 weeks, and now it's like 22 weeks. So that cram everything in there, and this cycle really seemed like we had a lot of downtime. And if we went to training, it was mostly half. Especially in infantry school, it was like half the day's worth of training. So I thought it was easier this time around just because we know what's coming, right? You know what the drill sergeants expect of you. You know all the, some of the FF games the drill sergeants like to play with some of the privates and prior service soldiers. But to me, the physical fitness seemed like it was lacking. And a lot of that was because of COVID protocols. Like we couldn't do formation runs, which is crazy, right? We couldn't be too close to each other, but come on, of course we were, right? So to me, it seemed easier just because I knew what to expect. I was more mature. I'm going in for something different now. Like when I went in before, it was more for because I was kind of like a wide-eyed teenager, right? And I didn't know what to do with my life and I didn't have money for school. So I was going to this unknown place in Georgia. I'm from California. It's across the country by myself. And so it was kind of like scary and new for me. But as an adult, a married adult, I know what I'm doing this for my student loans, right? To pay off my student loans and, for the benefits that come with being in the military, the VA home loans, all the tuition assistance thing for my wife and those sorts of things. So you know what you're going in for and you have a mission, right? So to me, it was easier going in. Now, the soldiers look up to you. They do. Laying low and being a gray man is not going to be a possibility. The only way it's going to be a possibility is if somehow you get into a prior service company. There are companies that are just specifically prior service. There was only one of them in the whole of Fort Benning when I went in, and that was part of my cycle, right? I had a couple buddies who actually got the luxury of doing this. But the thing about their company is that they didn't have to do basic training. A lot of those guys had a break in service that were less than 5 years, all of them, obviously. And they only had to do infantry training, which is their AIT, right? And so they had a prior service company. So if they're all prior service, none of the new guys are looking up to you. But in your case, since you're gonna have to do basic training again, they're gonna look up to you. There's no way around it, right? Especially if there's a few of you in your company. Let me tell you, I was the platoon guy in my company and I was the Iron Soldier. So I got the best PT score throughout the entire cycle. So holding it down for the old people, the OGs, right? 30 and up club because I'm 31. And, it was good, right? But every time you do something wrong, even if you're perfect 99.999% of the time, if you don't shoot expert, if you don't get a good PT score, if you don't know how to march, call cadence, any of those things, the fallback answer, especially from the drill sergeants, aren't you prior service? Shouldn't you know that? Shouldn't you know the soldier's creed? Shouldn't you know the Army's song? Shouldn't you know the infantryman's creed? So you're going to get a lot of that, right? You're going to get a lot of that. if you're prior service. They're gonna be hassling you, like in the chow hall, right? When you do like the facing movements, like if you mess up at all, the drill sergeants will call you out. Like a lot of them will get in your face and do the whole knife hand thing, which I think is funny. I only had one drill sergeant who was like genuinely like not a good person. The rest of them were just funny, just trying to make light of the situation. I mean, they seem mean, but as a prior service, you know, like they're not really mean. They're just doing their job. They're that's what they're here to do, right? But as a new soldier, you're like, you don't know why the drill sergeant's yelling at you, right? So yeah, they're gonna look up to you, and everything you do is gonna be put under a microscope. It's just the way it is with prior service. You know, it'd be like that sometime, but you know, do your best to be better, you know, do your best to like really stick out and, you know, be the best in PT. I know you want to be a gray man, and obviously like that's the best way to do it, because no one cares when you get to your unit that you were this, or you were like the top soldier in this in basic training. Nobody fucking cares, right? But you're going to be put under a microscope in basic training. That's just the nature of the beast, being prior service. But with that being said, you're going to have extra benefits. Hopefully. I had to fight for mine. It was a pain in the butt. I wrote the trade doc. I had to do so many things. I had to do an open door policy with my company commander to get like passes on the weekends, to get my phone, like things that other prior service should get, because like, hey, we served. So don't let them tell you you can't have those privileges, because in the regulations it says that, you know, in trade doc it says, I think it's AR something. My buddy had it down to a pat, but there's a prior service section in there that says that prior service have to be treated like permanent party, and with dignity and respect. Now for AIT, I have only been to OSIT, so one station unit training. I only know the same drill sergeants in my basic and the same drill sergeants in my AIT, because that's what OSIT is. It goes all the way through. You don't go to a different place for a different school. But I've heard that for AIT, it's similar, right? That obviously there's no drill sergeants, but as prior service, you are held to a higher standard, and you do get special privileges and those sorts of things, like weekend passes, or not having to go to some formations and those sorts of things, or forming up in a different spot. So yeah, you're not going to be laying low. Sorry to tell you. If it happens somehow, you know, kudos, but being prior service, they're going to expect a lot out of you. At least that's what they did for me and pretty much everyone I know that wasn't in another company, right? But it's okay, because at the same time, you get special privileges that the other guys don't get. And if you're not getting those special privileges, you got to fight for them. You got to use the open door policy, because basic training for you is going to be like 10 weeks, right? Don't want to spend 10 weeks doing private things. It's not right, because you've been through this before. So know your rights, you know, talk to your company commander, talk to your battalion commander, whatever you have to do to get special privileges. But remember, you got to be performing as a soldier, because the reason why some prior service get shafted is because what the prior service do before them. A lot of prior service like do some really shady things that turn the drill sergeants off, that ruin it for other prior service. So, you know, be good at PT, be decent at everything, try to be good at shooting, you know. So it'll make you look good. So when you have to ask for privileges, if they're not just given to you, because most of the time they're just given to you, then you have something to, you know, bring into the argument. But I hope that helps with your question, and any other prior service out there. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.